now we're going to talk about things that are pretty much only good. Or are they? Because with the Grammys, can you ever really say that they're making the right choices in terms of what's good and what's not? Um,
It just degrees. It's never
yeah,
this or that with the Grammys.
unfortunately. And Dave, this is going to be, I feel like, a really interesting Grammys year because, just reading through kind of like the potential, like people who are up for things this year, it's really all over the map. Like we're talking about Harry Styles' "Fine Line" is still up, which feels like it came out a decade ago.
Oh, I got thoughts on that, my friend.
And I feel like I know what you're gonna say, but we'll get to that. The Box by Roddy Ricch is this,
Yeah.
and Roddy Rich's album is all over these potential nominations too. And it's like these songs feel like forever ago, and then
Well, and that's actually what I want to get to is the eligibility period for the upcoming Grammys, which will be happening on January 31st, was September 1st, 2019 until August 31st, 2020. Like every year, that's what, about 4 months, 9, 10,
Mhm.
11, 12, 1, 4 months in between cutoff and ceremony. And thus, that leaves you with albums at the next Grammys that feel old and from a different year. The Grammy calendar never makes sense. So let's just think about what albums from 2000 freaking 19 are eligible at the Grammys this year. Harry Styles' "Fine Line," Roddy Ricch, two of the big contenders, but also Post Malone, Brittany
Mhm.
Howard, FKA Twigs, Kanye West, "Jesus is King," Camila Cabello, Charlie XCX, the other album from 2019, not to mention the one she dropped this year, Coldplay,
Yeah,
um, Sturgill Simpson. Like it's these albums feel
ridiculous.
feel old because they are. And and Post Malone, his album came out 1 week after Lana Del Rey's album, but Lana Del Rey made the cutoff, so she was nominated at the ceremony we already had. It's like, oh man, like they gotta fix this calendar. It's bad. It's just
Yeah,
it does nothing for anyone. It's not instructive, Like the
yeah,
box from Roddy and Harry Styles, like those songs did permeate into this year, right? I
uh-huh.
acknowledge that, but I just don't think it's a smart way to organize this. It almost feels like the Recording Academy, like we have to have a cutoff that's far enough away that we can make these decisions. But like movies and TV, it's not nearly as big a gap for Emmys and Oscars. So you got to fix this shit.
Yeah, and the natural thing feels like making like January 1st the cutoff, or even December 1st, because most of the time you're not getting many like big albums between December and middle of January. That's kind of when it
Yeah.
starts back up. So it almost feels like there's like a built-in thing, but if we know anything about the Grammys, that they'll like shoot themselves in the foot. Um, I was thinking, why don't we start with probably the category I'm most interested to talk about, which is Best New Artist.
Oh God, it's another one.
Looking through this category, I mean, the people on here that are being considered as a Best New Artist, people like Megan the Stallion, Phoebe Bridgers, Moses Sumney, Pop Smoke, Blackpink. I mean, literally, people have been putting music out for quite some time now.
Yeah. So I had similar thoughts. So I decided to look up what the fuck the criteria is for best new artist. And the criteria, like everything with the Grammys, changes over times, titles change, blah blah blah. But right now, it's an artist must have released a minimum of 5 singles/tracks or one album. Uh,
Okay.
or and also, sorry, they may not have been entered into this category more than 3 times. You can be nominated for Best New Artist multiple times, which feels very antithetical to me. Megan
Mhm.
Thee Stallion notably was nominated last year and was not selected. Why was she nominated last year? Because for criteria 3, must have achieved a breakthrough into the public consciousness and impacted the musical landscape during the eligibility period. I don't know. Did Megan Thee Stallion create a meme with Hot Girl Summer and
Mhm.
have a ton of viral success last year off her Fever mixtape, which was great? Yes. Yes, that
Yeah.
happened. Why is she still a new artist?
Yeah.
It's idiotic. And then, like, you even think of someone who's a little less famous, like Phoebe Bridgers. She's been incredibly impactful in indie rock for several years now, about as impactful as it gets these days.
Yep.
So why is
Yeah.
she new? Doesn't make sense.
I mean, even looking through even further down the list, King Princess put on an album, I believe, like 2 years ago that was really well regarded. K Tronada has definitely two albums that are top notch, and he's just now a new artist.
And you think about the
Joji,
calendar, right? Like Kaytranada's last album came out what December 2019, I think it was the last
something
one.
like that, yeah.
But that was his second album.
Hmm.
Shouldn't that cut us off already? Like,
Yeah,
was it
it's
99.9%, whatever the first one was called? That should have been it. That was the eligibility period. We second album from Kaytranada. No, sorry, you're not new anymore.
yeah,
People like you. People talk about Kaytranada. He's made it. He's not new.
it's definitely just feels very nonsensical and just kind of random. But who do you got? Who do you think
Yeah.
will get the nominations for this category?
Right. So along those lines, there's been talk that like they're kind of fudging the criteria for this year. So it seems like they're gonna put Megan Thee Stallion in, whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, seems like Megan Thee Stallion's in the mix. Phoebe Bridgers,
Hmm.
feel safe.
Summer
Also,
Walker.
Summer Walker, Doja Cat, like
Hmm.
they make sense. I'd like to see Rina Sawayama. She's really popular, but not nearly as famous. That'd be really, I think, inspired pick. They've expanded this category to include 8 people, so I think that's a wide breadth of recognition,
Hmm.
especially if you pick actual kind of new people and not like certified stars already, like Megan. But
Yep.
um, I saw people throwing out Joji, another one that
Would
made
love
my
that.
made my eyebrows raise. New, but I guess
Right.
he's still kind of new going to this criteria, so that'd be great. You know, Dominic
Um.
Fike fits as well, and I think the big one is, will they nominate Blackpink for
Yeah.
Best New Artist? Blackpink played Coachella in the spring of 2019, but I think they still count. And they haven't released a whole lot of music for what that's
True.
worth, but they're global superstars already. But I think they really want this recognition. So tough to say that they don't actually count.
Yeah. You named off a lot of the ones I had. A couple I just wanted to throw out there, and this one maybe I'll start by asking you. Pop Smoke. Think he's gonna get that nom?
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Best New Artist kind of has an aura of the prequel Star Wars meme. We'll watch your
Hmm.
career with great interest.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that with Pop Smoke. He's passed. Like,
Right.
I think that's kind of disrespectful. Actually,
Hmm.
it's like a backhanded compliment
But
because
if
again, Pop
there's
Smoke made cultural impact last year in rap, but the
Mhm.
Grammys didn't notice that, of course.
But if there's one thing we know about the Grammys, that they will do something that will put their foot in their mouth. I could see that this being it. I actually am gonna predict that Morgan Wallen, who's been a rising young country star,
Hmm.
we talked about him a couple of weeks ago because he was supposed to perform on SNL and didn't follow COVID regulations. He's been rising. I think he has a good shot, and also Phineas. Last year Billie
Ooh,
Eilish
yeah.
cleaned up and Phineas was up there with her, and I just get the sense that they're gonna probably want to get the Eilish people involved in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking like in other categories, Billy had some loose singles come out during this year that would feel awfully ham-fisted to me to give like top tier award nominations to. And
Hmm.
Phineas is kind of the same way. Like, this is not an acknowledgement of Phineas's songwriting and production ability that he does for his sister. This would be him as a solo artist, and he
Hmm.
has only a handful of songs to his name, but also they
Right.
haven't made actually that much of an impact. Like the criteria of best new artist impact, I don't think Phineas the solo act has actually earned that, in my opinion.
No, I agree, but I could see the Grammys just
Yeah.
wanting to get that name up there. Honestly, I'd be happy with this category. If outside of Megan and Phoebe Bridgers, who we kind of expect to get nominated, if we get Moses Sumney and Blackpink in there in some way, put whoever else you want in there. Like recognize like the real talent. Um, all right, why don't we move on to a different category? Why don't we do best rap album? I think it's interesting because when
Hmm.
looking through this category, the first question that comes to mind for me is how many posthumous nominations will we get here? We have Mac Miller, who I think might have a shot. Juice World
Hmm.
is potentially in the mix here. Um, I think if we even look a little bit further down, there's one other that came to mind that I'm not
Yeah.
seeing
And
right now.
Pop Smoke, of course.
Yes, Pop Smoke. Thank you. So, how many do you think we're gonna get? Zero, one, two.
Mac Miller was notably nominated for Swimming, previous or 2 Grammys ago. Yeah,
Mhm.
2 Grammys ago, and I could see that, but I'm gonna say no. I think thinking about the spots, right? Like Roddy Rich, clearly a lock for
Mhm.
this category. No problem with that. Run the
RTJ.
Run the Jewels 4 better freaking get nominated. I don't think
I think it
RTJ
should win.
3 was even nominated if I remember right, but like I think that's pretty safe. Also, Little Baby's My Turn. Not as high on that album as a lot of people, but I think that's pretty safe given the year Little Baby's had. Megan the Stallion, Sugar, maybe. I'd rather they just recognize the songs for her, like Savage. I expect to get nominated. I don't know if you need to acknowledge that project, but
Mhm.
maybe since the campaign does. Obviously, her technical debut album comes out this Friday. Um, so that leaves you at a few more spots, right? I think Roddy, RTJ, Little Baby for sure, maybe Megan. That leaves you with one or two more. I think Pop Smoke is right there, given how big that album has been. Same thing for Juice World. And then I think the only other big contenders probably Uzi with Eternal Take. That means that Freddie Gibbs, Alfredo doesn't get in. That means they don't pick DaBaby from last year, Kirk, which
No.
that's fine with me. Logic. I wouldn't mind Logic. Actually, I really liked No Pressure, but it's a tough category. Only picking five.
Yeah, it is a tough category. I hope my big hope is that Run the Jewels wins, and if we get one surprise nomination, please make it Alfredo. Like,
Yeah,
please just like
or one of the Griselda guys, maybe if they pick Benny the Butcher from some Grace of God. Those
right.
albums are not famous enough, but like that would be great. I'm not worried about Eminem getting in. I feel like they've actually stopped doing that,
Moved on.
thankfully, which is good.
I'm gonna
I'd love my
predict
guy
that.
Polo G to get it, but I don't think
Yeah.
that's happening.
My last prediction is I do think Mac gets nominated for this category, and there's like a celebration for him, so to speak.
I think that's part of the thing, right? It's like you have three really high profile posthumous rap albums.
Mhm. How do you nominate one over another?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think it's a fine line to walk.
I think like the difference is um, Circles is like known for like being one of the best posthumous albums in terms of taking what was recorded, and he had a lot of it recorded, but like piecing it together in
Yes.
a way that sounds like a actual album. Whereas like Juice Worlds, when we talked about it, was like pretty disjointed. There were some moments where you're like, okay, Juice like had something there, but like
Yeah,
overall, just felt like it was a posthumous album.
and I think maybe they could fudge it. Juice World song with Marshmello, "Come and Go," pretty big. Maybe you could put that in like the electronic recording
Hmm.
category. Also, I saw some love for Pop Smoke's Dior, which I think technically came out in its original form before the cutoff,
Hmm.
but then was re-released two additional times within this period. And we know they're probably gonna fudge stuff. So maybe you recognize Dior and you don't have to nominate the album, like, and then you nominate Mac's album. Like that I think makes sense to me logically, but there's a lot to it.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Why don't we move on though to pop vocal album?
Yeah. This is
Uh,
loaded with names.
yeah, a ton of huge names here, and there's going to be a couple people that I think get some pretty big snubs. And I want to start though with basically a person who very publicly in the last year acknowledged how hurt they were by all the Grammy snubs they had before, and that's Taylor Swift.
She's back.
Do you expect her to be back in it?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Lover was nominated in this category too, which is the bigger
True.
ones. That was, but yeah, Folklore for sure is getting into pop vocal album. I think that's actually what makes this one so tough. Is I think there's four really safe picks, and that leaves one to fight over. Right? You got Taylor Swift's Folklore, The Weeknd's After Hours, Harry Styles' Fine Line, and Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia. That's
Hmm.
four right there. Four heavy hitters, four huge albums, four really liked albums, despite what me and you think about the Harry album. And that leaves that fifth one, right? And
I,
then on its face, I'm like, oh, is that just Post Malone? Pencil it in right now. But I don't know.
I just want to say that Harry album has really grown on me, but
Don't do this to me, man.
uh, yeah, I don't know if it's top 500 albums of all time good, but
God.
it's certainly grown on me. It feels like this could be Post Malone, Hollywood's bleeding right there, but I have my eye on Lady Gaga. I
Yeah,
think if anyone else can get in there, it's probably her. My wish, like if I got to pick it, you got to put BTS in, and I
yeah,
could see them maybe doing that just to like get that viewership, I mean, that would
Hmm.
create a lot of online viral moments for them. If anything, the Grammys, since they've lost so much legitimacy in terms of people actually caring about them, I think just having the most eyes on them is probably the goal in some
Right.
respect.
Yeah, I'm hoping BTS, like maybe like record of the year, they could nominate Dynamite, which did get in under the cutoff. Um, but it's tough, right? Because that fifth spot, Post Malone, BTS, that leaves really no hope for Halsey, Doja Cat, Camilla,
Nope.
Selena Gomez, Charlie XCX twice, as well as Justin Bieber, who we probably expected to get in this category before we actually heard changes. So it's really loaded. It's really, really loaded. But yeah, I mean, BTS, man, if Map of the Soul 7 was picked, that'd be huge.
That would be huge. Um, I'm hoping for it, but let's move on to different categories. Song of the year. I think I have a bit of a dark horse winning this one, so I'll
Oh,
save that for the end. But yeah. Well, what are the safe ones? Blinding Lights by the Weekend.
yeah.
Probably Don't Start Now from Dua Lipa.
Yep.
Um,
Maybe I
this
think
is
those the
where
two big ones, and probably the box from Roddy.
yeah.
Those feel very safe for both record and song of the year, I'm pretty sure. And
I
then
would
I don't know, there's only a handful of other ones that I can really think of. Like maybe a Taylor song gets in here. There's a few
uh
like Cardigan
Adore You probably.
from Harry, sure.
Yeah.
Circles from Post Malone
Yeah.
was huge. Rain on Me, like those ones immediately
Mm.
jump out to me.
I think the one that probably this is what I'm picking is Maren Morris's
Yeah,
"The Bones" because that track is
popular
just
pick.
everywhere.
Mhm.
It's 8-1 right now on betting sites, and that one just feels prime because again, country music is huge, and that song literally every time I turn on the radio, which I don't do often, I hear it. So
Yeah, I
very
country wise, I feel like Maren Morris, and after that, probably Luke Combs are probably the
yeah.
most likely to be celebrated. Those two albums are probably the most likely to get into the top album category, album of the year.
Mhm.
Um, for record and song of the year, I don't know. Maybe like I mentioned, Dynamite from BTS was already. Maybe you pick another rap song, Savage from Megan, do the remix with Beyonce, perhaps. Rockstar, DaBaby and Roddy, that was a huge smash.
So one aspect I haven't really brought up in terms of storylines is, um, music, uh, oftentimes a form of protest and commentary on the cultural world, and it's something that is usually commenting in real time, whereas movies and TV often lag behind a year or two based on the time it takes to develop. Music is very current. What are the chances you think a song like "Walking in the Snow" by Run the Jewels, which very clearly is a commentary on an issue in terms of
Yeah,
police brutality that's captured the nation this year, gets a nomination solely for a reason like that?
I think that's a good thought, but I actually don't think that's the right choice. I think, well,
Mm.
the choice they would make. It's the better song. I think if they're going to do something like that, though, it's Little Baby's The Bigger Picture,
Mm.
which was a bigger song, got a big pop when it came out right after George Floyd and all that.
Yep.
But it's a song that's way less pointed and about its message, and is all to me, it's actually like a really like
Yeah.
kind of cowardly song that doesn't actually say fucking anything. It's kind of like a both sides bullshit song.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they're gonna pick something, it's that. Also, given the high profile Little Baby has had for all of 2020.
I haven't been paying like a ton of attention to her this year,
Nope,
but
certainly not.
she does have that song "I Can't Breathe," which I could
Mhm.
see potentially falling in this category, and she's much more beloved and kind of anointed over the last couple of years by the Grammy foundation. So I could see that getting there. It's interesting because I see Fiona Apple on here and going with like things that are affecting our current times. I mean, Fetch the Bolt Cutters feels like a pretty safe bet for like album of the year, but I
Yeah.
don't know if there's any song that's gonna garner attention off this. You think?
No, I
Yeah.
mean, record and song of the year, they don't often do like kind of like under the radar pick. They'll do that with album of the year, right?
Hmm.
Like shit 2 years ago, I forgot who won, but like it was that kind of choice. So I think Fiona Apple's kind of a lock for like that's the pick, right? Like it's not as mainstream, but it's critically adored, and all the Grammy people certainly love it, and it's well deserved. So yeah, I think Vegetable Cutters for sure is there, but song wise, yeah, I don't think that's super likely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it seems like a lot of this is going to be going chalk. We're going to be seeing a lot of the weekend here. Why
Mhm.
don't we talk real quick about record of the year? Um, looking here again, the ones that feel safe. Dua Lipa, The Weekend, Post Malone, Circle, Savage, Meg The Stallion. Um, Probably The Box by Roddy Rich,
Mhm.
Rain on Me, Lady Gaga, Adored, probably is somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Any others that kind of stand out to you?
No, I think it's kind of the same mix. Like
Yeah,
maybe a different Taylor song is picked for each category, right? Record
yeah.
is more about the production of the overall song. Song of the year is more about the actual songwriting. Hard distinction to make for the average person still, but technically the artist doesn't actually win for record of the year. They're just listed as the name, so you know the name of the song. Anyway,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I hope uh, BTS could get one of these, but I find it awfully hard to delineate it, picking what's going for this one and not that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even really know what I would pick to differentiate. I guess maybe like I'm thinking about the song "Rain on Me." Like there's some production moments in that that stand out, so maybe
Yeah,
that's where I would lean. But
sure.
I bet this will probably go "Blinding Lights" if anything. All right,
Yeah.
now finally, album of the year. We mentioned The Weekend, definitely in there. Fiona, probably Dua Lipa, probably Taylor, probably Harry. I mean, that leaves us with only a couple other ones. What else do you think is going to be in there?
Yeah. So from there,
I mean, RTJ seems like it might get the nom.
RTJ maybe, Post Malone maybe, the Chicks maybe,
Oh, I was gonna say, I think the chicks are in there, dog.
Mary Morris or Luke Combs perhaps, and then I think how committed are they to this? Would they pick BTS here? Would they pick Bad Bunny, whose first album he dropped this year was critically
Mm,
adored? Burna Boy, Twice as Tall. We know that'll get a Best Global Music nomination, the new
yep.
name for world music. Um, but would they actually acknowledge it in the big dogs? As we said earlier this year when we talked about the ceremony in January or February, whenever it was, um, a black person has won album of the year like once in the last decade or so when Bruno Mars won.
Hmm.
To even nominate a Bad Bunny or a Burna Boy or BTS is very big change.
Yep.
It speaks to changing attitudes and I think more of a recognition of the global enterprise that is music consumption now. But I'm not super confident about that happens, right? Like for all we know, they would pick a pretty middling Childish Gambino album because we know the Grammys love Childish Gambino.
Yeah, you know, the lack of faith that we have in the Grammys is so disappointing, dude. Because
Mhm.
like, a couple of these albums I think definitely deserve to be up there, but the fact that like, you know, I don't know, just scrolling through this list I have in front of me here, something like RTJ or um, yeah, I'm thinking about like the like Phoebe Bridgers album, like
Mhm.
Punisher. That feels like one that should be nominated, but the chance of it very slim. I feel
No,
like
you're just
and
stuck to the genre categories of that stuff.
yeah,
Tame Impala, same way.
yeah, it's like an album that was one of our favorite albums of last year, Magdalene from FKA Twigs.
Yeah,
Like it's 100 to 1 shot. Like
yep,
this,
no chance,
so
which is
so
really
fucked.
really disappointing.
I don't know, man. Who do you think wins this category in long run? Dua, Weekend.
I don't think Dua's gonna win, but I think she gets nominated. I think it's Weekend or Taylor Swift, really.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
I'm hoping for Fiona. She's
sure.
pretty lauded and critically liked,
Yeah,
if not popularly. So if there's that dark horse one, it's probably her.
I'm expecting Blinding Lights to win at least one of the
Of
two
course.
song awards, and that's
Uh-huh.
fine. That's very deserving. Um,
Oh, you mean Super Bowl halftime performer the weekend?
I'm super with that, by the way. That's a
Yeah,
great pick.
Jay-Z really stepping up there. He had a big say in that. So,
Pepsi halftime, baby.
woo! Feel the excitement. Any last thoughts on this Grammys nominations?
We'll check in next week, or no, sorry, 2 weeks. These nominations are announced about a
Tuesday,
week. Tuesday. Yeah,
24th.
yeah. We'll chime in at some point on what inevitably goes right and wrong. But yeah, honestly, like there's a big pile of people that you're confident in. I feel like they're gonna do like a mostly good job. It's just whether there's a mission here or there that really ticks you off.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna be a disaster, but there's just gonna be disappointment, like always.
Like always, and hopefully we didn't disappoint you this episode. So if we did, direct all of your tweets at Martin Swagger, and if we didn't, follow at Nostalgia Pod on Twitter, as well as hit the subscribe button on YouTube and go to soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod.